Peoria police also arrested this man, 25-year-old Tremere Marks Jr., suspected of burglary. It was around 3:30 this morning. Police responding to a report of someone checking car door handles. They say it was near West Harper Terrace and Hamilton Place. They saw Marks running, so they launched a drone. And after a short foot chase, they arrested him near West Virginia. We're told he did have stolen items on him. He now faces investigation of burglary, possessing stolen property, resisting arrest, and also had an active arrest warrant. He's now in the Peoria County Jail.